Me and my wife was about to get evicted. This was probably about in 2016-ish, around that time. So we were living at this apartment complex, and this is actually funny story. This is around premiere printing time. And so that one hit home for you. Yeah. And so around premiere printing time, we were about to get evicted. And at the time, I was still new in the entrepreneurship space. And I was still trying to grab traction in the real estate market as a real estate investor. And so what I used to do is I used to go around people's houses and knock on their doors or send out letters.
You're in the field. For those that don't know,
yeah, I was in the field.
That's the field when you're in sales and you're door knocking. And
I actually grew up wanting to steal my grandmother's car. That's a little fun fact. I told you I was a thief as a kid. Man, I'm telling you, this thing gets deep. This thing gets deep. This thing gets deep. But I tell you, God delivered me, boy. I'm telling you.
He went from walking to now managing a fleet of over 40 cars and boats. Boats.
We got boats on the way.
Let me drive.
We got boats on the way. We working on some planes.
Okay.
I was looking for my mugshot and I can't find it. So if anybody is able to help me find my mugshot, I greatly appreciate it. I say that though because
Eric in the back say I'll find it.
Yo, find it for me. I greatly appreciate
it.
No, I'm not ashamed with it because I used to share it. And
That's
a lot of these people know that I used to share my mugshot on my Instagram before I wiped it and rebranded.
But that was before, if I can interject, that was before it became popular to do those things.
Okay.
So he was already trying to help people by sharing it. And I ain't gonna lie, we like to be polished. We like to be clean. A lot of us apostolics, that's what we desire to be. So when he put it up there, everybody making calls. Why did he put that up there? Take that down. Take that down. But that's biblical because we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
So a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
Ferrari because I'll say
you
that
got
later. Man, you gotta do it now because I got
sorry.
one.
I'm sorry.
But Ferrari,
I'm normally
a Lambo. I'm normally a Lambo guy, but it's because I got one now and actually been able to be in it and actually play with it, and it's been Ferrari.
Welcome to the Apostolic Creatives and Entrepreneurs podcast. We are here today with the Darius Newman. And I'm super excited about this particular episode because this is my brother, y'all. He's near and dear to my heart. Like, we've been rocking together for a while, a long time. So I'm super excited about this one. And then Marissa's going to get the opportunity to get to know Darius because we spoke so much about him for so long.
All the time.
He's actually the first interview that I knew the story that we wanted to document.
Yeah.
So today's episode is called From Feet to Fleet. So we're excited about that.
Hey, we're going to have to put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
You know how we get down with the shirts, right? So we're going to have to make this into a shirt for Feet to Fleet.
Listen, guys. You guys get super excited. Darius' testimony is definitely powerful. It's going to encourage you guys to stay at what it is that you're doing. And we're going to navigate and we're going to journey into how he went from walking to now managing a fleet of over 40 cars and boats. Boats.
We got boats on the way.
Let me drive.
We got boats on the way. We working on some planes.
Okay.
All right, guys. So we're getting ready to play. Doom, 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 doom. We don't got the theme music for it yet, but this is Spacer. So what Spacer is just like this or that, right?
Yep.
And it's got ace in it, but it's speed, so it's space.
All
right.
The
Acers.
I see what y'all doing here. I like that.
All
Let's go. Let's roll with it.
You ready? Okay. Darius.
All right.
Old school or new school?
Old school, all day.
Ooh.
All day.
Oh, all day?
All day.
What? Wait.
Not even
what
close.
Old school car?
Ooh, see, I have a long list, but the 1966 Mustang, 68 GTO, 68 Chevelle, I take those any day over a Lambo Huracan or a McLaren GT.
Yeah, I know. You speaking in tongues?
Right. That's a different language. Hey, that's that car language.
Right, I'm saying that's that car
language.
Car language.
My car community, you know what I'm talking about, right? All right, now.
Yeah. All right.
So what about private rental or tour rental?
Woo, tour rental. Less work.
Wow. Bigger profit?
No. Private one is a bigger profit, but it's a lot more time.
Gotcha.
It's a lot more time invested.
Gotcha. So manual or automatic?
Automatic. I don't know how to drive manual.
What? You're supposed to be the car guy.
All the cars are automatic.
But you're going to rent them out, but you don't know how to tell us how to get
But
in.
I thought the older cars had a stick usually.
No? Usually, yes. So they don't make manual cars no more like they do back in the day, but they still made automatic cars back in the 60s.
My auntie had a Geo Prism, I think. Does that count?
That's like a 90s sound. Like, I mean, that's just one of those things you was embarrassed when you used to drive it.
My auntie asked me one time, she said, why every time you get in my car, you tie your shoes? I ain't want nobody to see me.
I hit one of these real quick. Hey, I
you getting that yellow Geo Prism?
It's embarrassing. No, I'm just kidding.
Diddy Kong Racing or Mario Kart?
Mario Kart. Man, I used to love slipping the banana peels behind somebody. Letting them spin out and win the race.
Oh, my goodness.
What about Need for Speed or Gran Turismo?
Need for Speed. My favorite games, even still to this day, is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Oh, yeah, I was on there.
Classic
I had
games.
me a Jetta, I think.
Woo! Jetta GTI smoked the police officers. That's where I learned how to do it real life. I'm sorry. I'm just playing. Just playing. Go ahead.
All right, so Chase Elliott or Bubba Wallace?
Bubba Wallace. Come on now, do it for the culture.
Okay, Culture.
Okay.
All right, Daytona 500 or Coca-Cola 600?
Daytona all day. That's my favorite racetrack. I actually been there once. I'm trying to go back. I've been trying to go for the last 10 years for my birthday and just haven't been able to
How
make it. But
long
I
is it?
am working on getting there for my birthday.
When you're there, how long are the races?
The one I went to was in August. That one took about 3 hours. It's a 3-hour race, but
Yeah.
it's amazing. When you're there, it's so loud. It's in your face. It's a better experience
you
in person
outside?
than, oh yes. So this is actually during COVID too. So during COVID, the prices were cheaper. So you had a lot more space in between, in between each other.
Yeah.
And so I took advantage of that moment. It was 3.5 hours, but it was a wonderful race. It was an amazing race.
Yeah, I live like a minute
Yeah, I
from
was gonna tell you
Coca-Cola
to say that.
600 in
Don't
Charlotte.
tell him that. He's going to be like, sis, let's go.
And I went last year, so my job gave me free
You-
tickets.
I'm sorry.
And
Hold
so-
on. For one, my apologies. I love touching the mic, but you've been to the Coca-Cola 600
last year, yeah. And then we had the what you call it, all the way at the top, and it's like the lounge. It's inside.
Skybox?
The skybox.
Yeah.
Man, they treat us so well. We went down to the pit stop. Actually, I took a picture, and it was a car flipped over right behind me, so you could see it in the live. The car flipping behind me, like it was dope. It was dope.
So for the record, North Carolina is like the NASCAR hub. And
Really?
so yeah,
Didn't
so a
know
lot of
she's
NASCAR
there.
teams.
Oh, we have NASCAR Hall of Fame there.
Yes, so it's a hub. So Charlotte, North Carolina is a NASCAR hub, and so I've always wanted to go to Charlotte, North Carolina. I have family, Raleigh, Durham.
So next
Houston
time, if I
area,
get free
so yeah.
tickets, I know
Oh,
where to. Yeah,
I'm here, and I'll drive up there.
okay.
NASCAR
style. Yeah, because
I'm flying. She done taught me to just hop on a plane.
right,
It's
hop on
nothing.
plane. But for me,
Hey,
it
that's
takes
dope.
one experience for me. So if I've done it before, I don't need to do it again. Like that was good enough for me.
So the
No,
funny,
it was cool though.
So the funny thing is when I speak about NASCAR, NASCAR, there's more than just one experience, right? And so the experience that I received from Daytona is different than the one you will receive in North Carolina because of the track.
Yeah.
Same thing with just like other tracks like in Virginia that's close to you. So there's smaller tracks. Like there's a
Oh,
dirt
Bristol?
track in Bristol.
Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
Bristol. And
yeah.
then there's one in Martinsville. So there's different experiences for different tracks depending on the type of racing that you're looking for. And so
Right.
even just to piggyback off of that, don't let that be your only experience. Also venture out
Gotcha.
and see other tracks because that'll give you other experiences. as well.
Got you. And yeah, even living there, I can hear. I knew it was a race because all
That
you
was
hear
me.
was
That was me. That was me.
You hear that all the time, and so I know, oh, it's a race going on because they do have a dirt track right beside it. So yeah, it's nice living there.
Funny thing is, there's a dirt track here in Tampa too. It's right by my house, so it's when they do race there, I can hear it from my house. And so I've been there before. Go there, and don't dress nice when you go to a dirt track. If any
Don't
of
wear
you
no
want,
white forces.
don't wear no white forces. Don't wear nothing nice because I went there, and granted, I didn't wear anything nice because someone prepped me and told me, but I came back covered in dirt. So
That's nice. That's nice. That sounds
All
fun.
right. So listen, Mercedes-Benz or BMW?
ooh, because of the new M competition, I'm gonna say BMW. I just saw one yesterday, and since
Ooh,
you
I
know,
saw
you
it.
saw
I
it too.
saw
You was
it.
there with
Yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
That M competition now BMW is rolling out is bad, and I would just give them an edge over Mercedes. But I normally would say Mercedes,
Okay, so a Ferrari or a Lamborghini?
Ferrari because. I'll just say
you
that
got
for later. Man, you gotta do it now. Yeah, because
I'm
I got
sorry.
one.
I'm sorry.
But Ferrari,
Let me drive the boat.
Tell
I'm
me
normally a
all the
Lambo.
secrets.
I'm normally a Lambo guy, but it's because I got one now and actually been able to be in it and actually play with it, and it's been Ferrari.
Dodge or Ford?
They both suck.
Ooh. There goes our
Oh,
endorsement.
so the
right.
problem is I had a Ford and the transmission went out on me, so I have a personal thing against Ford and then Dodge.
You know they say found on the road dead? That's what it stands for?
No,
yeah,
but that
yeah.
makes sense. Oh,
to be
wow.
honest, I was on the way to Sarasota. I could have been found on the road dead because that's
Wow.
when the transmission went out on me. I was on the road. I was on the way down to see my mom and get Christmas gifts to give to my siblings, and it broke down on the way down to Sarasota. I got stuck in Bradenton, and I was stuck for about 2 hours,
Oh, nah.
and then got towed all the way back
You
to
coulda
Tampa and
watched the
paid a
whole
grip for
race.
that. I could, listen. But I'll go for Dodge just because I don't like Ford. No,
Can't
sorry,
dodge
y'all.
it, ram it. Ain't it?
There we go.
I
Can't
know a
dodge
little
ram it.
something.
You know,
little
listen,
something.
that's
something.
nice. Okay.
So, Darius, I know you. I know you very well, actually. But
Do you though? No,
yes. Tell everyone and tell our community who you are and what you do.
All right. So as you can see, my name is Darius. Originally, I'm from Maryland.
What part?
I'm from Clinton. It's a small city in Clinton in PG County. Moved all over in Maryland. Moved out of Waldorf in 2008. Moved down here to Tampa. Ever since then, it's been history. Who am I? I'm a husband. I'm a brother. I'm a son. I'm a comforter. I'm a provider. There's a lot of things that I am, but first of all, I'm human. So there's a lot of struggles that I've went through that I can't wait to share with you guys, and hopefully it will inspire and help someone to get across their struggles. What I do a lot of different things, but I have a 9-to-5. I'm an insurance broker. Long story short, how I explain it is, me and my team, we're the middlemen that connect you and United Healthcare, Florida Blue, or whoever your insurance provider is. But outside of that, my hustle is automotive. I have a fleet. I rent on Turo and privately. I'm also a real estate investor. I dabbled in crypto, dabbled in stocks. So there's a lot of things. I'm a very serial entrepreneur. There's not a lot of things that I haven't touched or haven't done.
Right. And what are some things you don't know how to do? Because it sounds like you know how to do a little bit of everything.
I don't know how to build a house yet, but I would love to know how to build a house.
I'm pretty sure you'll learn how to do that.
Nah, I'm just kidding. But as far as stuff that I don't know how to do, I don't know how to trade stocks. I don't know how to trade crypto. If anybody is willing to teach me that, I would love to.
That's
I tried
another
the Forex
podcast for another day.
I tried the Forex.
He's going to be a millionaire by Christmas.
This is something I know they'll love too. I tried the Forex market. At that time, it was too consuming, and I couldn't really grasp the knowledge of Forex. But now, given the current state of our economy, especially with the USD, it is definitely more profitable now. It's something that I don't know how to do, but I definitely want to.
Gotcha.
And just diversify the portfolio.
Yeah.
So tell us a fun fact.
Fun fact, I am a huge NASCAR fan. I talk a lot of basketball, football, and baseball to a lot of people,
Yeah,
but
I
a
can't
lot of
stand
people.
it when you talk basketball. Like, I want to cry. Literally.
She doesn't want to accept the truth. I'm just saying, the Lakers are trash. They
I
will
like
never
literally locked him out one day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you locked him out.
Yeah, he was coming to the house and he went and talking trash. He said something I didn't like. I just shut the door.
That
He
sounds
put the
like you.
code in and came back in, but I did. You know.
This is what happens when you have the code, right?
Yeah.
But yes, I am an avid trash talker. So anybody who I talk, sports with, whoever they're rooting for, I'm the guy that goes against it. And so I do that with her a lot. But a lot of things that people don't know about me is I'm a huge NASCAR fan. I've been watching NASCAR since I've been about 6-7 years old. That's where a huge inspiration of my car business comes from and how I got into the space. But yeah, I'm a huge NASCAR fan. That's the fourth sport I ever fell in love with.
Man, I love it. I love it. So, we are the Apostolic Creatives and Entrepreneurs podcast, and we always want to start one of the questions off with, how did you become apostolic? What is your journey?
My journey to the faith it started in retail business. And so I had a coworker that worked in retail. They stepped away and then they came back to the retail space, and then I noticed there was a difference. And just the way they carried themselves. And so they didn't have a car, so me and my coworker used to take them
Back to the cars,
church.
huh?
Yeah, back to the cars. So it's always a full circle moment, right?
Yeah.
And so
Facts.
they didn't have a ride to church, so we used to always take them for the 6:30 service on Sundays when we worked, because the mall closed at 6. And so granted, they got to church late, but they still got to church, and we always got the invite to come in, but me and my coworker never did. We just dropped them off and left. And so Minister Pointer, who was one of
Pastor Pointer now.
Now he's a pastor pointer in one of our Georgia daughter works. At the time, he was at the mall. He used to come to the mall and pick up the coworker, and we met, and he just kept talking and dealing with me just over time. And so it took about three months to finally make my way over into New Life. After continuously running into Minister, now Pastor Pointer, eventually made my way over there, and the rest has been history.
Man, love it.
Can you tell me about a time where you felt that God came through for you and you just knew that it was God?
Ooh. See, there's a lot of those moments. One that will resonate. I know it will resonate with a lot, especially you ladies, and feel free to chime in. One was when I was about to get evicted. Me and my wife was about to get evicted. This was probably about in 2016-ish, around that time. So we were living at this apartment complex, and this is actually funny story. This is around premiere printing time, and so that one hit home for you. Yeah. And so around premiere printing time, we were about to get evicted, and at the time I was still still new in the entrepreneurship space. And I was still trying to grab traction in the real estate market as a real estate investor. And so what I used to do is I used to go around people's houses and knock on their doors or send out letters.
You're in the field. For those that don't know.
Yeah, I was in the field.
That's the field when you're in sales and you're door knocking and you're.
Ooh, one more. I was in the field with the '05 Malibu. Now, for those, you remember that, and there's a few people who probably look at this, remember this.
The drop top box.
Man, listen, I had a tape on the back window, missing hubcaps. I had a little door magnet showing that I was.
That's a typical Malibu, though. Like,
oh yeah,
when you see the old ones.
Straight out the hood.
Yeah.
That's where that was. I locked my keys in the car one time and I couldn't get in, so I had to bust the window out, put duct tape all around that thing, and so it was it was no tents. No tents.
You were fish bowling.
I was a fish bowling.
Nemo.
Fish bowling.
Darius Newman.
Man, listen, no AC.
No.
Windows.
That's
some of the windows didn't go down. Like now all the windows went down. Like it was
Nisha in the background, like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Nisha's his wife, by the way.
Man, we've been going through some project cars, man. That was a project car for real. And let me tell you, at that time, man, it was a struggle because at that time I wasn't working. I had just got back on my feet from a car accident. Again, my sister here would know. We had went to Sarasota to vend at a show, and we went to Walmart. And it got rear-ended on the way to the show. Got rear-ended. Someone rear-ended us. Okay. Yes. Yeah. One of my faithful sisters who's also there. She's a real one. She know why. I'm not going to go all the way in depth with the story. But however, we got rear-ended, got into some crazy situations, but God was with us, right? And so granted, it could have been worse because we was at a dead stop. But at that time when we got rear-ended, you know, the adrenaline was so high. Yeah. We still went there.
I remember the phone call.
Yeah. We still went.
Y'all were going to pick up hangers.
Yep. Yeah. No, and a four-way. It was a four-way, wasn't it?
I
think it was a four-way.
It was hangers.
Oh, probably it was the hangers. Anyway, but man, that process alone, when I got rear-ended, I didn't feel anything at that time, but later on I did. Long story short, I went through the process of rehabbing, and that Malibu was the only car that I could afford. I lost everything else, but that Malibu was the only thing I could afford. And at that time, I was working on becoming a real estate investor, and so I used to drive all the time, every day, and go market for dollars. And so I used to do that in that '05 Malibu. '05 Malibu. At that time, I wasn't able to close any deals.
That's when I graduated.
That's when you graduated. And so at that time, I didn't have it. I wasn't closing any deals. This goes back to the time when God delivered me out. And so bills were still coming due. And granted, we were still hustling in Premier Printing. We were still doing Chosen Vessel stuff. And on the side, I was still trying to make this real estate pop too as well. Rent's coming due. I got some money coming up, but I ain't got enough. But man, God came through with this real estate deal. And how it happened is, instead of knocking on doors, I got a video in my DM one time, because at that time I was heavy doing influencing on Instagram. And so one of my buddies in my network sent me this guy. He was doing auction flipping. His name was Antonio Edwards. Shout out to Antonio Edwards if you ever see this. You're the reason why I got my first deal. And so on YouTube University, please, you guys, do not sleep on YouTube University or Google University, because that's how I've been able to get big facts.
We want to do a podcast. Do you know anything about podcasts? YouTube every day.
YouTube it. And so anyway, I was listening to his videos, and I came across a deal that I was able to close. I bought it through an auction for I think it was 32, and I sold it for 44 or something like that.
So is that similar to wholesaling?
It's wholesaling, correct. Okay, it's wholesaling, but from an auction flipping side.
Okay.
And so there's a website called Hubzu. I'm not sure, how is it working now as far as what guidelines and restrictions, but I was able to bid on properties with no money down.
Yeah.
And so I bought 6 properties with no money. Wow. No money. Now, granted, I didn't close all those properties and didn't actually find an end buyer for all those properties, but I found an end buyer for 2 of those. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, at the time, I was about to get an eviction notice. I had to be out the house. I think it was probably the 16th. I don't remember the exact date, but I was able to close that deal a day before we had to get put up. And that was nothing but God.
Nothing but God.
No money?
No money. No money out of my pocket.
The earth.
And I never saw the property. But even let me go a step further, right? So the properties that I was buying, they were not in Florida, not in Tampa. So the very first property that got me out that jam was a property in Portsmouth, Virginia. Portsmouth, Virginia. I don't know if anybody you guys know what Portsmouth, Virginia.
So that's my
I have family in Newport News, so you already know. So you already know. Portsmouth, I've never seen it. I only had 2 pictures.
Wow.
So I saw the picture on what it looked like on the outside, and I saw the picture on the inside, and it was trash.
Wow.
But granted, still at the same time, the education that I was able to learn, I was able to apply that knowledge and really take action.
Right.
That's the key thing, take action.
So what do you believe is the reason why many apostolics hesitate with starting a business?
Well, same thing with me. It was just self-limiting beliefs. You know, we are all our own worst critics. Man, that's a tongue twister. Y'all say that 3 times fast. But anyway, we are all our own worst critics.
Facts.
And so when I was coming up with just the idea and what I wanted to do, because at the time, again, I just got laid off. And so the ability and just knowing that a company or a corporation had the ability to control my future, it was like, okay, Darius, you know you don't want that feeling again. Well, what is it? What do you want to do? What are you passionate about, right? What can you do for the rest of your life where it doesn't seem like a job, where you have to wake up and say, oh, gosh, I don't want to come to work today.
Right, gotta clock in again.
Can I use my PTO? But then I won't have no PTO for the rest of the year.
Right. Correct. Now you counting up your PTO.
Man, I don't want to go travel, but
then that's when you get FMLA.
Ain't not FMLA. If you don't use it right, you gonna get burned by it. Y'all don't listen to her. You gonna get burned by it.
Well, you just had a back accident, so I'm trying to hook you up. You was in a car accident. You got to go to the chiropractor. So I'm just trying to help you out that little 240 a year. 240, 280, something like that.
Come on now. That's real. But but that's real. But at the same time, it was, you know, I was always reflecting like, oh, Darius, I know I could do this, but how come you're not doing it, right?
True.
Like you're looking at all these other people doing it and being successful, and you say, hey, I have the ability to be able to do it, but how come you're not actually out here doing it? Well, why are you worried about what other people saying, or why are you worried about what other people doing, right? You know, this is something that you have a passion about, right? Be comfortable in yourself and know what you are strong in, and be able to offer that to the marketplace. And so, that's what it is. That's what it was for me, overcoming my own mind.
Yeah. So what do you think it is for other people though? Why do
that
you
could
think
be it for other people? There's other people that I've actually talking to and actually helped get across the starting line.
Some of them have really awesome ideas.
But they can't get started.
Why don't they execute is the question.
They're scared.
And that's
they're scared
fear.
of failure.
So it's not a fear.
It's fear of failure.
I saw a podcast. It was like, it's not a fear of failure. It's a fear of starting.
Wow.
I like that. Which also
either way, we know God ain't in fear. So
well, true that.
You know, so.
No, that is true. But also when you really think about it, even with us own apostolics, man, we still have fear though. Yeah. Like there's still
it's a human nature,
right? It's a human nature, and so even right within our own, you know, there's people within our own church that have great ideas, but they don't want to get started.
Yeah, they want to get started. They don't want to put in the work.
Made that
I mean that's ultimately what it is.
Is that microwave? Are we going into that microwave generation right now?
Yeah, of course. Popcorn me please, 3 minutes. Amazon me please, right here today.
See, the funny thing about the vision.
No shipping charges either.
No, the hardest thing about the vision, especially within myself, was knowing and seeing where I wanted to go and actually being patient enough to get there, and knowing that even within all the roadblocks that I'm going through currently now and that I've been through and still accomplished and was able to go forward, it's still knowing that, hey, this is going to be hard work. I got to get through this thing. I got to be consistent. I got to be dedicated to know that, hey, my vision is going to impact lives and plenty of other lives. I need to be able to stay consistent with that thing. This is more and bigger than me. Yeah. And so just understanding that and being, find comfort in that is.
Yeah.
All right. So let's roll this back, because I need a little bit more context. I know y'all been knowing each other for a while now. I'm new to this. You know, I'm new to you, Darius. And this podcast is called From Feet to Fleet, right? Yeah. So at this point, you had to be walking, right? Because you on your feet. And so is this story From Feet to Fleet, is this before the Malibu? Or like, how did this go? How did this go on? Because you just didn't become successful with 40 plus cars and yachts and all this stuff overnight. So how did this all start? That's what I want to know.
Man, it's a great question. So it all started as a childhood, right? But for purposes of your question, From Feet to Fleet, I started walking to my first job, which was in retail. That's where it started.
Oh, so it started retail.
It started in retail. Okay. So it started in retail. I used to walk 45 minutes to work. That was when I was still an associate before I got promoted to manager. But I was walking all the time because, again, I needed the money. I was hungry. It was a hustle. Like, I had to get it. Yeah. And it was a pivoting point for me because that was my first clean way of getting money, technically, legally, as far as my transition to becoming an apostolic. And so
God was working.
I mean, God was working.
Say,
God was
it's
working.
A different, it's another story.
God was
to
working.
This.
Oh yeah. So for the record, I wouldn't mind sharing this.
Enough.
You know what's hilarious?
We're not getting deep enough.
You know what's hilarious? Before this, over this weekend, I was looking for my
Testify.
mugshot. I was looking for my mugshot, and I can't find it. So if anybody is able to help me find my mugshot, I greatly appreciate it. I say that though because
Eric in the back said, "I'll find it."
yo, find
we'll
it for
put
me.
it
I
up
greatly
now. He's not
appreciate
ashamed.
it. No, I'm not
Man.
ashamed with it because I used to share it, and
That's
you
a
know,
strong
a lot of
testimony.
these people
Yeah.
know that I used to
Yeah.
share my mugshot on my Instagram before I wiped it and
But
rebranded.
that was before, if I can interject, that
No,
was
yeah, go ahead.
before it became popular to do those things.
Okay.
So he was already trying to help people by sharing it. And I ain't gonna lie, you know, we like to be polished. We like to be clean. A lot of us
Right.
apostolics, that's what we desire to be. So when he put it up there, everybody making calls. Why did he put that up there? Take that down. Take that down. But that's biblical because we overcome by
part
the
of-
blood of the Lamb
and
and
the
the word
word
of
of
our
your
testimony.
testimony.
Exactly.
So when he was sharing it, it was
Yeah.
before it became trendy
Yeah.
or popular.
This was back in 2017,
to share this
2016
kind of stuff.
type
Can you
stuff.
imagine that would have hit during COVID?
Come on now.
Yeah.
I was quiet during COVID.
Yeah.
I'm quiet now, to be honest. Technically,
He's
but-
out of his element. He don't
but
like stuff
I don't like doing
this.
none of this stuff like that. But
But thank you for coming to the podcast.
of course, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me. But I was doing all of this back in 16, 17, 18. Like I was really posting a story, posting a journey. Literally, there was times when I was posting, when I was sleeping on the floor at my homie's house going through recovery, and I was still posting on Instagram. I actually just shared that post probably last week when I got acquisitions of the Ferraris. I was saying, like, telling people on Instagram, I'm like, man, listen, y'all see these Ferraris, y'all ain't see all the work. And a lot of y'all followers are new. But let me reshare one of them old stories
Right.
from 2018 real quick. And I did that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people with the comments like, I remember that. And
You
so
know what
that
the
was
beautiful thing is,
that was
though?
beautiful for me.
Wow.
The internet is like, and you have to be cautious on what you put on the internet too.
Of course.
But the internet is forever.
It's
Even
forever.
when you delete it, it's forever.
That's why that mugshot about to come back
Yeah,
up.
that's why we gonna go
Oh,
find
please get that
mugshot.
mugshot
Yeah.
come up, please. I want to post and make a
And the
story
great
about
thing
it.
about it is that, and then Facebook got a way of kind of throwing it in your face 6 months ago, 1 year ago,
1 year,
16
5 years
years ago.
ago.
I'm like, Lord, that's me.
I gotta go back and delete
Right,
some
like
stuff.
delete.
Why did I
That's why-
post that?
Right.
That's why all
yeah.
these athletes get in trouble with all these tweets they've been posting
Oh,
back when they was in
yeah,
high
yeah.
school. Again, internet is undefeated. Y'all
He's
be
been a
careful what y'all
thug. Look
posting up here.
From 1996, so he was in the 5th grade.
But I think it's more appreciated now for people to share their story, their authenticity of who
Yeah.
they are from like where they came from and to now. And I think that's going to be powerful for you. Like when you come back out and reshare the story and all this stuff, I think that's going to be powerful.
Well, to God be the glory, because
Yeah.
it's really just to show people that, hey, I'm no different than you.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right?
remember
We all serve the same God,
Yeah.
and what God's able to do in my life, He could do it for yours. You know, for you in your life as well. So I just like to be used as an example.
Wow.
To see the transition is absolutely remarkable, from
Praise
seeing
God.
you driving your whip to driving somebody else's whip to not having no license
Uh-oh.
to
Oh
praying
man,
for you.
that's a whole nother. This story get deep.
No, seriously.
get deep with
So
that.
now when you come into the shop
Story,
now,
yeah.
who car that is? Mine.
Right.
Who car that is? Mine. Who car is that? 5, 6 different car. Mine. I'm like, what you got going on? Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And to
Right.
see that it's all legal.
I about to say clean
Like,
and
yeah, it's
legal.
clean. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
clean.
and then you see, I'm like, I wouldn't do that. That's like driving like casualty.
Yeah.
But to see that everyone has their own business mind, they do different things, and to see it be successful. Because there was a time I was in transition without a vehicle. I had to call Darius a few times. You know, when I was selling my truck and waiting for my other car to get in, I had to call him and say, hey, I need a whip. Sis, you know, I got you. If we need to go to Atlanta. And in the time of doing that, I had sold my truck prematurely, couldn't pull or tow. Sis, I got you. And the fact of not, you know, knowing him to be able to make that happen, like you said, it was one of those full circle moments when you see that, you know, as a whole.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. You made a statement just now, and not saying it in a negative way, but something that we got to be careful with when we speak like that in front of people. When they say, "Hey, oh, I want to do this business. Oh, I don't think that's going to be profitable. I don't think that's going to be good." You gotta understand, like with certain people that you say that to, if their mindset's not solid, you
Correct.
talking them right away from their dreams.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's
You talking them right away from their passion.
Mm-hmm.
Because of just something that you don't see, right?
Yeah,
You're not looking
yeah.
at it from their perspective of what
Not
they're
their lens.
talented, or you don't even know how talented they are because they haven't even advertised it. So that's something we gotta be careful. Now, granted, right? And I know you didn't mean nothing
Yeah,
maliciously
absolutely.
behind it when you said it to
Yeah.
me, but I was still so comfortable and secure in what I was doing. I knew that I would be successful
You knew.
regardless.
And then also with the
but
research
everybody's
behind
not like
it as
that.
well.
Yeah, and then
The
research behind it. I put mad research behind
And
this.
sometimes, you know, just poking holes is not necessarily a bad thing. You're just trying to get an understanding to say, and you need people that's like that too. You know, and that's the importance of actually having a mentor. I had a mentor, and Darius knows the backstory about it. Loaded. Money's not an issue. I went to her and I was like, I need 10 grand. She's like, okay, I need to see the plan. Boom, we saw the plan. And then she said, hey, this is the last time I'm going to help you with this. And the reason why this is the last time I'm helping you with this is because I don't believe in interest. And what you're paying me back, you could be using it to go back into the business. And it changed my life forever. Sometimes the heart knows, and what feels like today's defeat could very so much be tomorrow's victory. Right? So these are things that could help propel us into where we're going, make us stronger as an individual. So some of the no's that I got became today's yes. And allows us to be able to move and, shake and move a little bit better than what we would have before.
Man, the
That's
power
beautiful.
of the no.
Yeah.
The power of the no.
That's a whole nother podcast.
That's beautiful.
That's a whole nother podcast. We don't say no enough. But go ahead.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to bring you back
I felt
a couple
the victim
times.
for that.
So how did you get to your first car? Because I know we kind of stopped the story, but
yeah,
how
for
did you get to your first car?
So my very first one, after doing a whole bunch of research, at the time I was still doing research when I acquired my white 17 Sonata. But at the time when I went and bought that, I bought it with knowing that, hey, eventually this is going to be a rental car. I'm going to turn this into a rental car. At the time I was learning the game. I went on Turo. I actually created a listing for it and everything. I never actually fully rented the white one out, but I knew I did enough where I was like, oh, I could be successful in this. Now, granted, what I'm about to say is against what I would advise any of my mentees or just anybody in general who's watching this. But I went full-fledged with 4 cars first. Me being a lover of cars, I already knew that I loved it. This is my passion. There is no, let me test it. I already know what it is.
It was all or nothing.
It was all or nothing. I already knew what it was. And so I went out and I bought 4 cars. So I traded in my white Sonata for a black Sonata. And then I went and got.
That thing was fast.
That thing was fast. I bought a Civic, 18 Civic. The Sonata was 2019. 2018 Civic, 2021 Kia Forte, and a 2018 Hyundai Tucson. And so those were the first 4 cars that got me started in the fleet.
And they weren't even luxurious,
no, it's economy.
Cars,
It's all economy. Start off economy, and that's the preferred route. Unless you just balling like that and you could just be able to leverage. But normally in the automotive credit tier world, you just can't go in there and ask for a Lambo.
Yeah, true.
Or a loan big enough to even buy.
I'll take 2 Maybachs.
Right, unless you just got this crazy credit. You got Bishop's credit, you could go and do that. But other than that, for real, you just can't just walk into your credit union or a bank and ask for a $280,000 loan without showing that you have
income.
Exactly. Not even just the income, but also you have a car loan history that, hey, I've been able to pay my loans off over a certain amount of period of time, whatever underwriting feels. But that was my first 4 cars. I leveraged it all personally, which is something I don't advise. Also, please set up an LLC. And if you want to get into business, get an LLC and be able to leverage it that way instead of doing it with your personal credit. Because I over leveraged myself doing that. But however, I was against the time. I was against the clock.
Yeah.
So my personal experience is different. And I'm comfortable taking those type of risks.
Yeah.
I'm a risk taker for sure.
Yeah.
You know that.
We go all the way in.
I go in.
I see why y'all two are connected.
I go in.
I see.
We go into, we want to do a podcast to, the microphones are $700 until, they don't all look alike. We got to do something to coming up with 4 mics in one day.
Right.
Because for me, when I believe in something, when I know I'm about to start something and me, I don't start anything that I don't put any research in.
Bingo.
Man, you know how much I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do listen to audiobooks.
That's why you're natural?
I'm not a natural. Success leaves clues.
You can't even tell who's the host.
Success leaves clues.
At this point.
Yeah.
Well, praise God. So I don't do anything or go full in without doing my research first. And so if I'm doing my research and I say, okay, Darius, I can actually see a fit here, or this is something that I actually like, or I'm going in, I'm taking a risk to do it. Funny thing, you mentioned podcasts. So I have a little podcast that I started that I just haven't published for sure. I've
we know a little
3 episodes.
bit about it because she fell asleep listening to it. She was so tired. I was like, what are you doing? I'm researching Darius. I said, no, Darius is researching you.
Yeah. What did you get from that podcast?
So I was doing a little, what they call snooping you out. And one of the things that just really piqued my interest was one of your lives. You mentioned you were an entrepreneur in elementary school selling candy bars. And I was thinking was you selling the world famous bars? You remember those things for $1?
The world famous chocolate bars, right?
Yeah.
When they had the caramel, the crisp.
The crisp was
the crisp and the caramel.
Yes. So was that your introduction to entrepreneurship or?
like, I didn't know that, but yes, it was. Looking back at it, I had just went to a conference and someone mentioned that and highlighted the fact that, hey man, at that time I was being an entrepreneur. So let me tell you what it really was. I wasn't selling no chocolate bars. So what I was doing, so in Maryland, I used to walk to school. And so we had the grocery store called Giant. I used to go up in Giant. My friends will just like stay outside or whatever. I'll go in there and I'll grab Skittles, Snickers, Kit Kats, stuff in my pocket, as much as I could in my pocket. And that was back then when we used to.
You pay for these?
Oh, of course not. What you mean? It's a 5-finger discount.
Oh, okay.
That was a real discount back in the day.
Okay.
Well, it's technically still a discount now. I don't know if you want to pay the consequences, but but nah. I was coming from a conference and I was speaking to someone and actually shared that story, and they mentioned, you were a little young entrepreneur back then, huh? And I was like, wow, the way to put it. So, but a different twist. I wasn't just selling chocolate bars. So what I would do is I'll go to Giant, that's a grocery store in Maryland, and so I'll walk in there. My friends would stay outside. I'll walk in there, and this was back in the day when we used to have cargo pants, where you used to have those extra pockets by your knees.
Yes.
So I had those, and then there's another set of pants where you had pockets by your knees, and you had like a pocket like by the your mid ankle or whatever. And so what I used to do is I'll go in there, go down one of the aisles that were closed, and I'll grab Snickers, Skittles, Kit Kats, all the candy that I went to survey the day before that kids wanted.
Diabetes on a platter.
Oh man, for $1, I was taking all their lunch money.
Wait. So you said you was. Wait, so you pay for this, for the candy?
No. Or, I mean, it was a 5-finger discount. Not figure, but 5-finger discount.
Thank God for the blood.
Okay.
Until I got caught.
Before Christ.
Before Christ.
BC.
Before Christ. And so, yes, I used to go there, and well, the day before I'll survey the kids that I knew or it was in class. Hey, what candy bar you want? What candy bars you like? What candy bars you like? So I knew what they liked, and
you knew the demand.
Oh yes, I knew the demand.
I knew got the supply.
Hey, bring your $1 tomorrow. I got you. And then first come, first serve. If you don't get to me before lunchtime and it's gone, then I'm out of there. I'm sorry. And so I only stuffed my pockets to all that I could take, and where it wouldn't be
stealing.
Where it wouldn't be too crazy. I sure was stealing. I made some good money as a kid. Man, I bought a whole bunch of Hot Wheel cars. That's what I used to do with it. But funny thing is, I always didn't buy Hot Wheel cars.
Fake cars.
But I always didn't buy Hot Wheel cars too. So there's times when I used to go in there, I used to steal them too. Man, I was a thief back in the day. It was that's one of the things that God delivered me from.
Come on, God will deliver you. But that all like makes sense though. Well, not makes sense, but it all ties together because your passion
it was tied to my passion and my hustle.
Yes.
I was hustling to get the money to buy cars because I used to go home and I used to set up a city in my room.
Wow.
So you was building the vision.
Oh yeah, there was a community. Like no lie, my parents used to buy me car mats all the time, like little car mats. People had like firehouses on it, ambulance, hospitals, like those type of mats. And so I used to build and develop my world on that mat, but then also outside that mat. So I had communities, and I used to have so much cars.
So your parents never asked you where you get all these cars from?
Funny thing they did, but that was after the fact that I got caught. So they knew what it was. They knew what it was after I got caught. They was like, oh, so this is where you got all these cars from.
Uh-huh.
And so it made sense. And then my dad figured out I was taking money from his wallet. So this is back then when cash was king.
From your daddy?
Oh yeah, I used to steal from my dad. Man, those whoopings was crazy.
Hey,
so again, when you're talking about where the vision come from, like it came from as a kid, and I used to like put this stuff out and actually live it out as a kid by any means necessary.
even to your as you got older though, even walking and doing what you had to do, taking the risk by any means necessary. So you had that, and even having that as growing up. Do you believe? Because some people I feel are not hungry these days. Like this generation now. I mean. I'm not trying to speak bad about it, but they're not hungry enough for me. So lazy. Do you think hungry, is that born or you got to be taught hunger?
I feel like a small percentage is born with it, and when they're born with it. But I believe the mass majority, they move different as kids. You just know.
Yeah. I mean, I see myself at Glade View and go with the popsicles in my fan ponytail, selling them joints. Yeah.
There's this kid.
Some people just got it.
There's this kid at church. He was one of my kids in Bible quizzing. When I tell you that kid, I feel like he was born with the hustle. Cause as a kid, Yo, he was hustling. He was used to sell fidget spinners in his school. And
Not
I mean,
the
make
fidget
$20 a per fidget.
$20?
Yes, he used to sell fidget spinners for $20 in his school per fidget spinner.
I'd have went back up to that school.
Yo,
and
you
got
was
my
a-
money 'cause them
you was a
children
hustler.
taking that.
You was a hustler. So there's certain, like you said, there's certain people
I
with
feel
small
like it gotta
amount.
be in you because
It has
even
to be
with
in you.
me, I was, as a kid, my mom, she finally told me as I was growing up, she's like, man, you kept asking for yard sales. You wanted to do yard sales to make money. I used to babysit, iron my family clothes. Like, even to the point,
used
I
to
was
wash
cleaning,
my
I was cleaning
clothes,
chitlins at one point for $20 a bucket.
Chitlins is
as a
disgusting.
kid.
$20. You was getting
I
ripped
was
off.
cutting, but
They was beating you out of 19.
but I like to do it though.
Yeah, it
like
was
that was something
impressive.
fun. Yeah, it
Wait,
was
wait.
something fun.
Wait,
But
did you
all-
eat chitlins though?
No, I never
Oh,
ate
okay,
them,
I'm
but I
just
just do
saying.
have
So
to
you
clean them
wouldn't,
well.
you wasn't using your product. That's why you was making all your
That's
money.
why I was making the money. But even to this day, like, I'll still clean. If you need me to clean your chitlins, I'll clean it for, for some money.
is crazy.
Or so. Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is off topic, but like in North Carolina, man, one thing that mortified me as a kid.
Oh, she's from your favorite place.
What, Knoxville,
She's from
Tennessee?
Tennessee, though.
Oh, you from what part of Tennessee?
Knoxville.
Oh, I love Chattanooga though. Chattanooga and Gatlinburg.
Okay, that's.
Pigeon Forge.
I'm
Oh,
30
man.
minutes from Gatlinburg, and that's where I grew up.
Oh man, I love
Yeah,
it.
east side of Knoxville.
I want to put, I want to put some cars. I want to do weddings out in. I'm going a little too far in advance, but I want to do weddings in.
or maybe some cabins. That's your real estate. Well,
yeah.
that may be too much though.
No, and there's a lot of stuff now. And let's keep moving. But
Okay.
there was something I wanted to say. Oh, so one thing that mortified me as a kid though is watching a pig get gutted. In the
I
country,
seen one in person, and they was dropping the cracklings in there.
Yes.
You want some faint, Jay? Absolutely not. You just killed Babe. What are you?
you just
That's
killed
not
a
babe.
pig.
That's a deer, right?
Yeah, that's the pig.
That's a pig. That's a pig. You never watched the
Bambi,
movie?
baby. I'm sorry. Wrong one. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
gee. Where I get my work ethic from is like my grandmother. So every time I used to go to my grandma's house, we used to be out in the field. She would take me on the field.
What
6
part
o'clock
of
in the
North
morning.
Carolina?
Kinston, North Carolina. It's about an hour south from Greenville. But anyway, she used to take me out in the fields every morning. We used to go pick blueberries, or I had to, get the cabbage or peaches or anything like. Anyway, I was always in the field. I actually learned how to drive when I was 11. We used to drive in the country because there's nothing but country dirt roads. There's
Yeah.
nothing but back roads.
That's big. though.
Fields.
And when you're really in the South, I'll
Yeah.
tell people, if you're not driving, like by the time you're 12, you're either like something's wrong.
Something's
with you.
wrong.
Like you got like a refrigerator and a microwave and a stove in your classroom. If you're not driving, like
that's
the
real.
Southern mentality is you
Yeah.
own land, you buy a house, you drive at 12, because if something happens to either one of your parents,
Yeah.
you got to be able to drive them to where they're going. So
And it's a
usually when a child,
long way. It's
yeah,
a
usually on
long
the dirt
way.
road. Yeah, usually if your child is not driving in the South, where I'm from in Georgia, by 12 years old, something wrong.
Yeah, so thank God for my grandmother. Before she passed, that was one of the things that she instilled was that work ethic and
Yeah.
being able to teach me how to drive. And so that's why I saw that pig get gutted. So it was a crazy story that I wanted to bring up, but that was something that I wanted to bring up. Also, hilariously enough, I actually grew up wanting to steal my grandmother's car. It's a little fun fact. I told you I was a thief
lot
as a
of fun
kid. Man, I'm
We
telling you, this
gotta-
thing
we
is
gotta-
deep.
we gotta- we
This thing
gotta
is deep.
expand it.
This thing is deep. But
Expanded.
but I tell you, God delivered me, boy. I'm telling you. So if you feel like you got,
Oh, man, you real weak. You
How
real
long was
man,
that
I almost
deliverance
made it
process?
too. I almost made it too. I made it inside the car. I started it and everything, and I barely could see over the steering wheel. And I was like, I know this is a vision right here, but I gotta get some cars. It was a Buick
How
LeSabre
many
too,
cars y'all say out
97.
there? How many cars y'all say out there? Y'all better go count them.
right, y'all.
Single Darius.
All right, y'all.
From candy bars to car.
Right.
Candy bars to
From
cars.
Candy bars the car. You a
Yeah,
rapper
that's episode part 2 right there.
Oh,
We'll go ahead.
jeez, that's hilarious.
So many part twos.
I know, right? But yeah, that's the goal. That's
love
where the
it.
hustle.
So
Yeah, I
my
love
question
it.
is, like, how many cars do you currently have right now?
Currently, right now in the fleet, we have 45, around 45 right now. We got all the way up to 75, and then one of our investors that part of our program is to teach them how to go private, and so they went private and they took their 40 cars.
Yeah,
40-something
you speak
cars,
of
and,
we.
yeah.
So you have
Me,
partnerships,
partner,
you have
yeah,
partners.
correct. We have partners. It's
So-
not just me, so it's 6 of us total.
Well, so how did y'all come together?
Actually, while I was on my own, still doing when I had the 4 cars.
Yeah.
I was advertising for more vehicles, and so I was able to get under 12 on my own, and so I needed more. I still work my 9 to 5, and I mean it's hard to run all those cars by yourself. And so while I was marketing for more, because the goal was to get to 20 by myself, I wanted 20 on my own. But I ran across my partner on Facebook in one of the Turo groups. he said, hey, how about we become the biggest host in Tampa? Let's sit down and talk. And so me and my brother, we went out to Kiki's and met with him and his partner. We talked, and everything was online. Everything seemed like, okay, we got the same goals and visions in line. We didn't became partners right then and there. It took about a month and a half with this things to align before we actually started working together. But that's once it aligned and it happened. And that was only a year ago. Wow. And so within a year, we've been able to scale so fast, so far.
Like, name some of the things that you have in the fleet. Because I know before we were talking about economy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about some economy
like
cars.
now?
So right now, what we looking like, we got a 4i4 we got a McLaren GT, 66 Mustang, 2 of those, 73 Vet, 23 C8. I got some stuff, man. I got some stuff.
All right, so Darius, what are the risks of getting into the rental car business, and how do you protect your assets?
One of the main risks of getting into the business is buying a car overpriced. So if you buy a car overpriced and you over here, your numbers are not right, you're not going to be profitable. The key point of being profitable is buying the car at the right price, under market value. It's just like houses. It's the same concept. And so that's the main risk that I have to juggle every day, is just making sure that when investors or myself or any one of our partners, if we're buying vehicles, making sure that we're buying them at great price points so we're able to make money and we're able to pay those vehicles off as quick as possible so that we're able to cash flow as long as possible.
I think you did something that was kind of like what we did that was a game changer for us when it comes down to Chosen Vessels, right? You remember when we first started, we were just selling T-shirts, doing pop-up shops and stuff.
Right.
When we did that one photo shoot, we paid good money for it at that time.
Yeah.
I think it was like $500. This is probably about 7 years ago. $500 is a lot of money right now, but 7 years ago it was a lot of money. But it really changed the trajectory of Chosen Vessels. And that's when I kind of tapped into the power of branding, taking pictures, doing stuff. Because most people, they don't want to do that. I'm more so on the aesthetics and the branding look. Like, we need this, we need that, but we got to make money first. But we got to look like we got money too.
Facts.
Because a lot of times people don't want to spend money with someone that don't look like they got money. I heard something that said,
or quality.
When you pull up,
exactly.
And even when you drive foreign or you drive nice, people look at you different.
Man, let me tell you something.
Yeah, I was in my Nissan. I thought I was doing it.
When I pull up in the Sonata, when I was pulling up in Sonatas, Kias, and Civics, it's a totally different look now when I pull up in the McLaren, Ferrari, or a classic car. It's a completely different. People literally come up to start conversations with you based on your quality, like you mentioned. So
I remember I was at a wedding, and the little boy, I'm going back watching Century. The little boy said, "That's a Tesla." And he all up in the thing looking at the camera. I can see the booger in his nose and everything. I'm like, whoa, why wasn't he like it? Correct, like back up.
Please back up.
And people may not even know if it's the entry line, the entry level of it, the top of the notch level.
It's the name.
All they know is the name, which we could preach that. That's a whole nother.
It's the name.
It's the name. And people like to be associated with nice things. And when they see you with nice things, it's also inspiring, especially if they know where you started from and they can visibly see you. Man, I remember when you came in. Like, I'll never forget that Malibu with the drop top cardboard box window. Like, I won't forget it. But now, when he comes to do work and stuff, you see a Model X in the driveway back then. You might see a Jeep. You may see a whole different host of cars. And it's now become a lifestyle where we're kind of used to that. You know what I mean? Same thing when I pulled up with the, I renamed it. The BMW i9, is it i9?
Oh, yeah, it was the i8.
I was calling the i8.
But it's called the i8.
So I was upgrading. That was prophetic. No, and people's like, oh, congratulations on your car. This, that, and the third. I'm like, first of all, I'm too big to be in this car. He's helping me get out this car. He's pulling me out of this car. When they lift the windows up, y'all didn't see that. But it's people like hilarious. To be associated with. That wasn't even part of the plan, right, for me to be in there. People like to be associated with things that are nice and things that look well. So the quality of the branding and the power of imagery, taking great shots, putting the investment of those shots, getting the right time and golden hour or this place or that place. How did that change business for you?
Oh, man, it was a game changer once we were able to lock in that concept. Just like you mentioned, people will pay for quality. And so for us, since when we advertise on Turo, the first thing you see is the picture of the car. right? And so everyone on the marketplace, and you go on, I challenge everybody to go on Turo, go look in your area and go look at the cars in your area. You'll see a lot of people take pictures with their phones.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with taking pictures with your phone.
Because
If
the
you
quality
got
of
it,
phones are pretty decent.
they're
now.
pretty decent.
Yeah.
But how it's not the same. It's night and day still. So we hire professionals, a professional photographer to actually take pictures of our cars. So that way it's able to help us with our marketing. Because that way I'm able to market on Turo, which on Turo, now when you go in there, you look for a car. Oh, I like this car right here.
Yeah.
Granted, it's the same Honda Civic, just like.
But it got a little sparkle to
Yeah.
it because of the photo shoot.
Because of the photos.
Got a little
Because of the
sparkle,
photos.
yeah.
Photographing those cars on a sunset or a sunrise, it enhances the visuals and
It paints a picture.
It paints the picture like I want this experience.
Yeah.
And then you see the profile. Oh man, they got over 3,000 trips, 5-star. All these cars, like no, these people are serious.
Yeah.
I know that now that I'm traveling to Tampa, I'm gonna be here for a whole week with my family. I don't want no issues. I know I could trust this company.
That's big. What you just said.
Yeah, I could trust my
They're
company.
serious.
Yeah, they're serious.
So when you serious, like you said, you go all in. When you're serious about the look, you're serious about the business.
We're going in.
Yeah,
We're going in. And Grant, those shots, I mean, it takes me about an hour and a half just to photograph all those cars. And it's only probably about 20 shots, but it takes time to be able to stage it correctly, the proper wheel turn, the proper angle with the buildings in the back or no
Kind of
buildings.
like us when we telling people, oh, the shirt's crooked. That ain't gonna work. They're like, we were smiling.
If the shirt's
image looked
crooked, that's
good.
my
I'm like,
fault.
That's out of there. The shirt is
Yeah.
the shirt. No, even on the
Oh, yeah.
person, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's crooked. It's got wrinkles in it. But she's smiling. She's cute. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
She ugly. Moving.
Yeah.
The shirt's crooked.
That
no
throws
good.
off.
Trash.
That'll throw off.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
a consumer perspective, when the
Yeah.
consumer's looking at it on an ad, they're like, is this supposed to be like that? Like it's throwing it off. Like, I don't know if I like that. No,
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't like their presentation.
Because it
But
may
no,
not
for
matter
us,
for them. I
Right.
mean, matter to us, but it may matter
it matters to them.
to
Correct.
them.
And
And
then
you don't
most
know who.
people, when they, I heard this on some type of record. I don't know if it was a podcast, but when you're used to driving luxury or a certain thing, when you drop down in whatever city you're going to, that's the first thing you're looking for.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to go from a Benz, a Beamer, a Tesla to put me in a Honda Civic, because I got in my daddy truck. And literally, and I've only been driving Tesla a couple of months. I got in my daddy truck and I burnt all that man gas out. Because when I got out, I left the car crunk. I was thinking it was going to turn itself off. And literally, it's just going. Same thing when I went to Tennessee. Remember I told you when you came and you saw me, they upgraded me to a little Audi. And I'm like, this thing is trash. To me, it was. It was a little A4. I was grateful for it. But I got out and left those people's car running. Because you're used to a certain thing. So it's easier now. If I go and touch down in the city, I already know how this operates. I know I'm not going to have to get gas. I know the charging, the way that the charging thing works. But tomato for different people. But when you're used to a certain level of, you just have an expectation.
That's why we just offer so much within our fleet. We have everything from a Nissan Versa, like you mentioned, Jeep Gladiators. I mean, then all the way up to a BMW 7 Series, a Defender. So like we have something for all sides of the market. So that way, like I said, if you're at home and you're accustomed to driving a Mustang, that's fine. We have one here.
Yeah, and most people who drive luxury, they are more prone to taking care of your stuff too.
Of course. Oh yes.
So when you when you get into somebody else's Benz, you're not just dogging it. You're not treating it any kind of way because you know that you want to look good and then you take care of it like it's your own. How did that open
You mentioned
up?
risk. I was like, you mentioned risk before, right? And a lot of people will see that as a risk. Like, oh, what about somebody damages my car? Or what if it comes back? That's not a risk. Because if you're doing it properly, right, the terms of service is you take pictures, a full 360 view inside and out of
When you got me,
car.
I thought I was a criminal. You thought you got to take a picture, sis, with your license to the back of this way, that way. I'm like, this show business, you know me. Still protocol. I'm like, that's just what it is.
Because that's the risk.
Yeah.
So God forbid, right, you would have took that Gladiator and took it to Atlanta and something were to happen where you was lugging it. And then it comes back and now we got scratches or something like that. If I never grabbed pictures, then insurance wouldn't cover it. And then now I had to cover that out of pocket, which now is a loss.
Yeah.
And now I got to explain that to my investor. Now that looks negatively bad on me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's
It's a layers. It's so it's deep.
And that's powerful too, because once you start the protocol and you set the standard, you know that that's the standard every time.
Every time.
Every single time.
Same pictures every time. Under, over the. I'm taking pictures on the top of the hood, under the carriage, like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like nothing's untouched.
So is there something crazy that one of the clients ever done to your car?
Plenty of accidents. Okay, I have a crazy
Like
one.
that accident where that Corvette was headed to Miami. And
That's
you
the one I was just about to talk about.
And he was like, yes, this is the police. My Corvette is headed to Miami, and I'm not in
Man,
the
that
car.
was so crazy.
And here go Dad in the background tomorrow. Yep, straight to the chop shop.
Wow.
I swear that's what we
story?
thought. I swear that's what we thought. So we had an orange C8, right? And so literally a client rented it out on Turo. They had it for like 2 or 3 days. And so Chevy dealership, what they do is you're able to take that car and clone that key and not provide any documentation. Chevy, you bad for that, and I want to make sure you hear that too.
Ooh,
but that's
there
not
goes our sponsorship.
But that's a huge liability because you're letting people come to your dealership to clone keys without any owner verification. And so that's what they did. They ordered the key from Amazon. They took it to Chevy and got it programmed to the car.
Oh,
they
was
brought
ready.
it back. Oh yeah, it's a whole plan.
That might have
YouTube.
been the world
you could
called
YouTube
it
it.
karma. The Bible says you reap what you sow. Sticky fingers.
That could be the case.
Them candy bars
No,
coming
it's under
back.
the blood. They came back king size.
That's why you were caught. This is why. Never mind. I ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole. But funny thing. So they returned it back, literally the next day. It's like 12 o'clock in the morning, 12:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, somewhere along that line. Granted, we didn't see it at that time, no. But okay, let me go back and retell that story. So here we are the next day. We wake up. My lot guy gets to the lot. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, Darius, do you got the orange vet? Because I'm prone to take cars home sometimes. And so he's like, yo, you have the orange vet? I know you had it like earlier last week. And I'm like, nah, I don't got the orange vet because you saw my car there parked. Yeah. He's like, well, it's gone. I'm like, what? What you mean it's gone? So we go pull it up on the tracking device and it's ghost.
Zoom.
It's gone.
Straight to Rick Ross. I'm joking.
The last known spot was a suburbs place in Miami at 6 something in the morning. And so we go deep dive, and in our inbox we see speed alerts. 2 o'clock in the morning, someone's hitting 130 down 75 on the way to Miami. It's like 2:30 in the morning. We getting speed alerts, and everybody's asleep. Right? No, none of us is up. And so, boom, we call the cops. Hey, we got a missing car. We call our security office, and we're like, hey, the car, is missing. Can we look at cameras? And so they send it. We look at the camera, and we see the truck driving up the opposite end of the ramp. And he stops for 5 seconds, and then you see him leave, and literally 5 seconds later, you see the vet drive off. So right then and there, we knew that, okay, this was no window breakers because obviously there's no glass on the ground. Yeah. It had to be an inside job. Yeah. And so we was just like deep diving. It was like, okay, this is weird. And so we just being our own CSI investigators. We looked the person up on Instagram and Facebook, and we saw that they're already in the car business. So it made sense that, okay, this was the person. And so we sent all that information over to the cops. Long story short, probably about 2.5 weeks later, they found a guy smoking weed with the top down, just cruising in Miami.
Oh, I'd have crucified
in your
him.
car.
Guess what race he is? I don't know if y'all watched that radio show, but come on now, we all know what come on, man. Yeah. So yeah, thank God it wasn't chopped, but they found him. Apparently that wasn't his first situation. He got caught doing that before. This was a second offense. He served time, got back out, did it again the third time, had 2 straps in the car, and now he's still locked up now to this day. So that's like the craziest chase. But it took us about a month and a half to get that orange vet back once it was stolen.
And
then when it came back, it was damaged. No, it was damaged. We had both passenger tires were wiped. It was curbed, so we had to get the wheels refurbished. There was chunks of the rim missing. The interior was, they wiped like the whole OnStar and the GPS systems out. So we had to order all that. Had to sit at Chevy for a while for replacement. So all in all, with replacements, it took us about 3 months to get that car back on the platform and get it rented again. Yeah, that was a process. But that goes importance to tracking. My apologies. But you obviously got to put tracking in your car. So if any of you guys were interested in getting into the space, please make sure that you double up on your tracking. At least put 3 trackers in your car. So that way, if they find one of them or 2 of them, you still have another one stashed somewhere.
Right.
So that worked out for us. In this industry though, people will take your car and you have to roll up on them and take it back. That's the whole purpose of those tracking devices. You have to roll up, and there's people that I know, their cars are sitting at shopping centers or people's houses. That's the importance of a second key. I'll get my second key. I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna repo it. personally.
You got
Personally.
repo from them candy bars.
Personally, oh my goodness. But it's a funny thing with that orange vet, right? It was marketed so well. That orange vet, it was one of only 2 in all of Florida.
And it was being picked up. So
and it
when
was
you saw it, it draws your attention.
It draws your
period.
attention. No one else has that orange vet in Tampa or
That's a
in
whole
all
nother
of
message.
Florida.
That's why you got to stand out, you know?
But when it goes back to that photo shoot question, right, that you asked, that's why we did those photo shoots, is to make sure that our cars are labeled differently than anybody else here in Tampa or just in Florida. Now, granted, right, a white Toyota Camry, there's thousands of those, so it's kind of hard to make that one different. But if you notice our high-end cars, they're really just one-off cars. You're not going to see like a red S-Class wrapped 2016 two-door Mercedes. You're not going to see that, but only we got that. So like
that's good.
Those pictures and being able to get that car out there, the awareness, we had people looking out for us in Miami too. So that ended up working out. But I also want to touch on those the photographs as well, because that's something that you mentioned. Once we took that photography business and we were able to photograph those cars and advertise it on Turo, that inspired us. Well, actually, you interviewed one of my sisters. Her name is.
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to ask you about that. Like, who's someone that's apostolic or just in business period that inspires you? I think that this is going to shock everyone.
That question is funny. So my sis Angie, which is the apostolic wife, she actually, my second business is called Eternity Luxury. And so that's a wedding based business, right?
Oh, wow.
And so me and Angie, we talked about weddings way back, even when she first got started, even when she got married at the Oxford Exchange. And so it's hilarious seeing how full circle this is. But when I first got into the car space, I told her I got into the car space, and she was like, "Oh, that's cool. I got people that actually look for weddings for their cars." And I said, "Wait, what?" And she was like, "Yeah, like you."
And all of a sudden, I look on Instagram and see him chauffeuring people in an old school Mustang. He the driver. I'm like, wait a minute.
You ain't gonna steal this car today.
She was like, "No, this is a real thing. Like people will rent your car for their weddings." And I said, "No way."
Yeah.
It's like, that's a real thing. And so I had I have a love for classic cars.
She was saying her biggest thing is she wants to be remembered as her legacy. You know, as we're closing, she said that her legacy is she wants to be known for helping other people.
And she definitely helped me. Appreciate you, sis, for sure. Because literally we had a conversation. We were education wing, I think, at church. And this is when we had that conversation. She was saying, yeah, people actually rent out cars, whether it's classic or exotic. You know, there's a real niche out here. You should really tap into it because no one is really doing this.
Yeah, we're gonna need that soon.
No one is doing this.
Over in, Dubai somewhere. You hook us up over there.
Hey, as long as you paying. Because look, our auto transport to Dubai is not cheap. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. But that's like something
that's okay. I'll go out on the camel. It's good.
I ain't gonna lie, that's pretty dope. But no, so we were talking, and so you know, she mentioned that no one's actually out here in this space doing it, and that she would love to see, you know, someone that she knew to actually do this space and do it. And so I said, I have a passion for cars. She know I did. And there's plenty of times where she's asked for like assistance, like, hey, do you want to, you know, collab with me as far as like, you know, setting up chairs or something like that.
Yeah,
and there's
she's
times where
people on. Even when we did Wife Goals, that was Angie.
Yeah.
I'm like, sis, we need to trademark this. It's pretty big. She's like, yeah, sis, I don't care. You can have it. Just go ahead and take it.
No, she's always putting people on. That's the one thing about it. She's always putting people on. So again, much love to her. So that's where that inspiration came from. And really, ever since we got into this wedding space, it's really been taking a blast. It's really been blasting off, especially with these classic cars. Now let's get in a Ferrari to be able to attack that. Y'all heard her. $80,000 for budget for a wedding. I mean, you really think about $80,000. That's on the low end.
Yeah, that's
like
a wedding.
People,
you talking about cars, and that's just
a
one
wedding.
Day.
Like you could spend $1,500 for this Ferrari for your wedding day.
Yeah, because you're gonna have that for forever.
You're gonna have it forever.
And the experience. That's what it's really the experience. Mm-hmm. And then you look back on it, like when we had the birthday party and stuff. I'm like, I spent so much money in that, but when I go back and look at those moments of people who mean so much to me, and I'm like, man, it took me 3 years to appreciate this, but I'm glad I have this.
Which reflects back to the name Eternity Luxury, right? We're providing experiences to last people for eternity.
Okay.
That's a fire right there.
I felt that. That was nice.
Sign me up. Sign you up.
Marry me. Okay.
So and it's not just weddings, right? So we took thank Angie for the vision of the weddings, but then it's like, okay, let's build on top of that. So it's engagement shots. So when people get engaged, you can even do an engagement shoot with those cars. And then it's like,
when I get pregnant,
it's date nights.
I want you to put something in the muffler. Tap the gas. It's gonna be red or a pink.
Do a donut or something in the car, right?
Maternity shots.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We could do that. Like there's no limitless to what we could do at Eternity with the cars on a private side and private events. And so that's where the vision started with the weddings. And so shout out to Angie for real.
But the beautiful thing is that you started something and you see how God grew it little by little, from you having the economy cars to getting the fleet, going to luxury, then going into the wedding industry, going into you also providing the chauffeur services for those that need it. Darius, what do you want to be known for? What do you want your legacy to be when we speak of Darius?
That's good.
Moving forward, what is it that you want? How would you like to be remembered?
Man, I would just love to be remembered as a person who loved God and never gave up. Never let any situation conquer, right? Or stop me from moving to the next level. Want to be used as that example for other people, for the younger generation, right? I mean, a lot of these kids, they don't have that inspiration where they could draw off of, right? And so just wanted to become that inspiration, and show them that it's possible, that all things are possible.
That's beautiful.
What's your favorite scripture in this season?
In this season, be still and know that I am God.
That's a good one.
That's as fast my mind is moving right now, and a lot of things that I want to do. I gotta be still.
Be still.
I gotta be still and still let God direct me, and not think that I became
who you are and what you are
without Him. And just start moving off my own mental intellect and not really letting God tap in. For sure.
Love it.
I love it too.
Love
That's
it.
good.
Man, this is
Man,
great.
we're super excited, man.
Darius, we've been talking about your name. What's your last name?
Newman.
I don't know if I want.
Man,
we over here dropping my government on the
we just talked. You going to give us your whole
anyway.
mug shot?
It is Newman.
That's
Newman.
in.
It's Newman.
Right. We keep calling you Darius.
Newman.
You know. So we're
I'm a new man.
Come on, new man.
New man. Okay.
I like that.
So where
can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the Darius Newman, which is THEE, Old English, the Darius Newman. Oh yeah, everyone says, is it the? And I'm like, no, you're not gonna find me. It's the, two E's. The Darius Newman on Instagram, Darius Newman on Facebook. If you want to find my business profile, Suncoast Automotive LLC on Instagram, and Eternity Luxury Group on Instagram as well.
On Instagram. Well, thank you.
And we'll be spanning to other socials, but just tap in on Instagram for right now.
Thank you, Darius, for coming on to the podcast. We got to bring you back because we haven't even touched the surface. I feel like you got more stories than you.
Yeah, we ain't even talking about going homeless. We ain't talking about suspended license for real.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to touch that.
We kept it clean this time.
We ain't really talking about all the struggles for real.
You had a horse one time.
See,
I had a horse?
I'm just joking.
Too many
I had a
stories.
horse. I ain't know about that one. All the moves, like, man, it's been, it's a process.
Man, thank you for your time, and thank you for being part of the Apostolic Creatives and Entrepreneurs podcast. That's a wrap. See you next episode.